Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're just waiting on everybody to join. So we are on time, we respect your time, and we will begin shortly. Thank you.
By the way. Let me just start.
My God.
Stop. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to this, our second meeting in our face-to-face resumption plan. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
We are now going to begin this, our second leg of our PTA meetings concerning our face-to-face resumption for the academic year 2020-2021. Can we pray, please? Please mute your microphones as you enter the meeting. Our Heavenly Father, we glorify you. We honor you because you are God. We invite your presence into this meeting. We ask that you would chair and that you would guide. And we look to you for everything. All right, I'm back on. So my microphone is back up, thank you. All right, are we hearing now? Thank you. Are you hearing me now? Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. Mullings. Thank you very much. I'm not too sure at which point I was muted because I was looking down. If Mrs. Wallace Gordon is on. All right, the technology at times I tell you is it's a blessing and it's a curse. And so I'm not seeing her, but I want you to feel very welcome this afternoon. I know it's been a hard road. It's been a long road as well. But we are surviving, aren't we? Yes, we are. And because there's so many of us on the platform right now, it's a little bit difficult for everybody to speak at the same time. But I always tell you to just hug yourselves when you can. Give yourself a big hug because guess what? Nobody can hug you, you know. This is the kind of world that we're living in. Nobody can hug you. You have to basically be hugging yourself. All right, Tevin, I see your hand up. Good. I hope you're hugging yourself every day. All right. And even now, if you want to just give yourselves a big hug, I don't know how we can kiss ourselves unless we're in the mirror, but just give yourself a nice warm hug and feel loved. And I want to welcome you into this, as I said, our second meeting. We had one last week and we are having this other one now to wrap up and to cement how we get into this face-to-face resumption. I'm going to invite our principal to give you his address at this time. All right, give us one.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mrs. Simpson, let me know if I'm coming through now, please.
Yes, you are, sir. Please go right ahead.
Okay, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, parents and students. Good afternoon to all the persons who would be joining us this afternoon to make presentation one way or the other.
Mr. Simpson, unmute again.
Thanks. So I'm just giving an overview of what will happen for this meeting. You already would have heard some things in the news, but before I speak to that, just to let you know that we will have this meeting for our PTA, where we will look at the academic, the administrative, the disciplinary, student services, and business services facts, as well as external examination issues and evening school issues. We will also have questions and answers that we will ask you to participate in via the group chat. We are not able to allow everyone to open their microphone because of the chaos that that may cause. But you are welcome to communicate with us via the group chat. We are also streaming live on YouTube. And so those persons who may not be able to get on to the Zoom link, you may go to YouTube. Belmont Academy Jamaica is our handle, and you can join us from that perspective. We will see all of your comments and we will be able to answer your queries there. Right immediately after the preliminaries that I just outlined, administrative, academic, disciplinary, student services, business services, external exams, and evening school protocols, we will have some guest presenters. We will have the principal of Campion College joining us at about 5:10, and she will be sharing with us the perspectives from Campion College in Kingston, because they resumed and they faced some issues that we think we can learn from them on. And so we are going to give them the honor and the privilege to share in this space with us. And then right after that, we will hear from our doctor, which is our healthcare provider. She will outline to us some of the things that we can do to continue to keep ourselves safe, especially when we resume. And then we will go also into different careers and aspects of work that can be had within this whole health situation. We will also have some video presentation and some giveaway. If you are keen enough and you are listening attentively, you should be able to win some phone cards and so forth and so on as we go through the evening proceedings. So it promises to be a very informative session with you this evening. And I ask that you listen keenly and you pay attention and you share with us so that we can be able to get it right as we seek to resume. So with that said and out of the way, those are the housekeeping matters. Let me go right into the purpose of this meeting this evening. We have been planning for a year now to resume so that all of our students could come back and be engaged in the learning process, because we are aware that a number of students are not being reached remotely. And the government was very sensitive to that and indicated that we would now have to resume physical instruction. We met with all of the stakeholders, transportation providers, the student executive, PTA executive and PTA, teachers, non-teaching staff, and the transportation providers. And we had a robust plan of action to resume school on the 1st of March with all our students on a shift basis coming in. So while we were planning, I suppose God was wiping. So in his wisdom and through the Minister of Education, it has been issued to us as a decree that only the examinable cohort will be allowed to attend school at this time and to participate in face-to-face instruction. Therefore, our plan had to change. And our plan had to change to facilitate the students who should be completing their SBA projects and writing their exams this year. So the date remained the 1st of March, but only persons who as at October, because the new school year would have begun in October and not September. Only those persons who would have been placed in the 5th form should now attend school on the 1st. And those persons who would have been accepted in the 6th form program, whether it was upper 6 or lower 6, all those persons who were afforded the privilege to attend our 6th form program will be attending school on the 1st of March. And the idea, the context, and the reasoning behind all of that is, you know that in a pandemic such as this, and when there is a whole host of illnesses that are related to COVID in general, and in a pandemic where numbers are usually the indicator of the spread of the virus, and against the background that Jamaica is number 2 in the world in terms of our transmission rate in COVID, it would not have been wise and responsible of the government to allow everybody to come out at the same time. This is not to say that the persons in 5th form and 6th form are immune from COVID and can't catch it. That is not to say. It only means that the fewer the number of persons coming out, the lower the chances of a spread of the virus. But it is now so important, because these are the senior people in the school who now will be allowed to attend physical school. And it is unavoidable. It is compulsory that these people attend, because the CSEC syllabus will largely remain what it has been. And so, therefore, you must put yourself in a state of readiness to write your exam and to enter your exam with a good SPA grade. It is now your responsibility and solemn duty to ensure that you follow all of the protocols to the T, and ensure that you do not take it lightly. Those of us in the society who have been thinking that COVID will not take over Jamaica, you see now that we are leading the world in terms of our response to it. And to a large extent, it is not the fault of the government. Many of us have not been wearing our masks. Many of us have been paying scant regard to this hand sanitizing requirement. Many of us have been joking, whether in a formal setting or informally, have been joking about the distancing requirement. Lots of hugging up and kissing up and handshaking. And it is now going to be required of all of these persons to enter the space under the observation of these guidelines. But before you get to the space, you must ensure that you are not making a mockery of the guidelines when you go into the town centers and when you take the transportation and the taxis, where you cannot avoid being close. You must avoid not wearing your mask. You must wear your mask, ladies and gentlemen. And you must ensure that your hands are being sanitized properly. So the 5th and the 6th formers, that will be your task in order to get your IAs and your SBAs completed and completed well. Now, given that that is going to be the case, there are some stringent rules and regulations that we all must now abide by. And there will now be suspension based on breach of COVID protocol. So if we find that there is someone who is coming out in this treacherous time when Jamaica is number 2 in the world in terms of our transmission rate that is so bad, and you are going to come and find time for something else other than completing your SBA and being ready for exam, then we are going to ask you not to come. And we are not just going to ask you, we are going to make sure we write it down into the book of unforgetfulness. So only those persons who are now ready to write their SBAs and to revise appropriately for exams will attend. And when you attend, if we are able to wrap up that exercise in a month and a half, let's say 6 weeks, then we will also be able to release you from the danger zone so that you can go back home and continue to protect yourselves until other types of protection, such as vaccine and other things, become available. But we shall not be at the mercy of anyone to continue with anyone if they are not abiding by the rule. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact that we will now resume face-to-face instructions with grade 11 and grade 12 and 13 students, you may be asking, what of the students from grade 7 to 10? They will continue to access virtual learning via the same route and at the same time. So nothing will change for those students who will be at home. It is imperative, it is no more imperative that you ensure that you have all the things in place to continue your learning and to improve upon your learning. This thing has gone on for way longer than we could have ever imagined. In fact, when we just closed, we thought we would have been out for about 2 weeks where we would do this and return in good time. No, it is clear that we are going to go beyond 1 full year without face-to-face instruction. So we can no longer sit home and say we don't have a laptop, or we don't have a tablet, or we don't have a smartphone, and we are waiting on resumption. I think that that kind of mindset is going to be careless and irresponsible. So it is now the duty of every parent and every student to put aside this thinking that we are worse off or we are less fortunate, and to find the will and the resources to enable you to get your education. Because if you think it is going to be expensive to get yourself a tablet so that your learning can continue, then you should think about the expense that ignorance is going to level at us. I can take no further excuse, parents. I will empathize and I will understand, but I can take no further excuse that the child is not able to log on, that the child does not have a laptop, that the child does not have a tablet, or the child does not have a smartphone. I would love to help, but I can't. Yours is the responsibility and the duty. And I'm not seeking to embarrass you by saying that. I'm just telling you the truth, what it is. It has been a full year. We must now stop allow people to deceive us into thinking that everything is going to be all right if we just wait it out. Education is too important for us to wait out the storm, to wait out COVID. So we must now find it wherever we can, via honest means. We must now find it. And we must now save some of the lunch money, and save some of the trip money, and save some of the bag and the shoes money to ensure that we have the requisite tools for virtual learning, because that is going to be something that is going to be unabated. I may venture further to say we may not resume full school until next year, March or July, when it is said that we would have sufficient vaccine to have herd immunity making an impact on our nation. So once again, I can't emphasize this enough. You must ensure that you have the learning tools, the gadgets, the computers, the smartphone to access learning on Google Suite. Please, please do not call us to complain about nothing. We empathize and we understand, but we can't do it for you. So show your partner, save the lunch money, and get it done. I can say no more about that because it's really not my business to meddle in your house affairs or your home affairs. But I felt it necessary based on the mountains of complaints that we have been having. There are those parents as well who may stumble into our cell numbers at some point and decide to call us on a Sunday to complain that nobody at the school is calling them and keeping in touch with them. Let me disabuse you of that. And let me ask you kindly, two parents, with every respect in the world, do not abuse our teachers. Do not call them on weekend with those ridiculous complaints. Your child is your responsibility, and the school has not moved. The school has not been closed for a single day. Whilst teachers may not be here, there are persons, the general office is open every single day. If you have a concern, I have repeatedly given the school's email and telephone numbers. So I would want for us to continue to show respect to one another. I've got some disturbing reports that there are some parents who are being less than gracious, you know, calling people and quarreling about nobody communicating with you. Parents who have 1,200 children and you have one. We have 1,200, you know, and you have one. So you must know what your responsibilities are in that regard. And there are others who do not know if their children are accessing the system any at all. And I'm saying to you, you don't have to be able to use the technology to check on that. You have the child check on it and open the screen and show you what is going on. There is no point in covering up these things and pretending about it. This is what is required. This is what COVID has led us into. So we must make sure that we are doing what we need to do and we are not being tricked and hoodwinked by our children. Because you see, my little children at Belmont, some of them are such great disciples, innocent, well-thinking, conscientious, honest, but some of them are liars. And they will, and because they don't want to do the work, they will tell you all kinds of lies. I have come to this conclusion, not because I choose to condemn, but because of the experience that I've been having. And there are parents who call to say their children are not getting work, and I could log on to the system and show when last the child bothered to log on. And the parent was now enraged because they have been providing data every single day. Boy, using the data to play a game. So I'm saying that we need to be very alert, and stop waiting this out, but start to do everything in our power to ensure that we put the things in place to monitor our children, that we put the things in place to ensure that they have the access, and that we put the thing in place to ensure that they can learn and learn well. Don't bother to ask us about textbooks. It's because we don't have them while we've not issued them. Don't bother to ask me about what is going to happen for CSEC for grade 10 students. We were ready to accommodate you. The government has closed it down. We have to wait and see what will happen in that regard, but you must ensure that virtual learning is being accessed by your children. As far as SBAs are concerned for those persons in 5th form and IAs for those persons in 6th form, we intend to have you complete your SBAs in 6 weeks after resumption and to send you to do your exam, because we think that with the virtual learning that have been taking place and with the SBA requirement, you will be able to pass your exam. I do not want any 5th former to decide or to opt out of not sitting, opt out of sitting the exam, having paid, because you would have all paid for at least 5 subjects. You can do it. And we are going to avail ourselves to you, no matter how dangerous it may seem. We are going to be here every single day working for you, and you must honor our effort with your effort. There are other persons who will speak to you about exam, student service, behavior management, exam, and evening school. So I pause here and give them an opportunity to speak with you. Again, please remember to type your concerns and your questions in the chat. If I have already answered them through my address, please don't bother to ask them. But if I haven't, please go right ahead and pose your questions, your concerns in the chat. We will not be opening up the microphone because you know what that will cause. But I will personally go through each question in the chat and give you our responses. After me is Mr. Hardy. So Mr. Hardy, as soon as I pause, it would be you and then Mrs. Foster for the disciplinary aspect and Mrs. Simpson, then Mrs. Brissett in that order. Thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. I remain on the meeting forum and I will be answering your questions. God bless you and have a productive year and a productive term that will, I suppose, start on the 1st of March. Again, I repeat, 5th and 6th form, physical school at Belmont Academy, 7 to 10, continue virtual learning at the same time. Mr. Hardy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simpson. Good afternoon, parents. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, students. As we have become aware, some of the plans that we had in place for you starting the 1st of March would have been put on hold because of new developments in the Ministry of Education. And as such, it is our responsibility to inform you of the way forward as it relates to our academic perspective. Now, it's important for us to understand that preparation is key. And even whilst it is that we prepare, we will always have to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, or even in some instances, all the way down to a plan Z. And so I like to use the quote from Malcolm X. It says, "Education is a passport to the future, for it belongs to those that prepare for it today." And more importantly than any other time in the history of our lives is the fact that we have to make preparations, not just to get an education, but to be educated as to how to be healthy, how to be safe in getting that education. And so we have a resumption schedule. And as our principal have indicated, March 1 is resumption for every single student. But this resumption takes place in different approaches, and I will outline them to you as I go along. For face-to-face instruction, grade 11 students will be placed on 2 shifts. Shift X begins at 7:30 a.m. and ends at 11 a.m. Shift Y begins at 11:30 a.m. and ends at 3 p.m. Now, this information has been circulated to all students, and if you have not yet completed the pre-registration form, we ask you to go into your Google Classroom, the homeroom section. You will see your shift placement. It will tell you which shift you're on, as well as a form that you are to complete to give us some details as it relates to some persons who we may be able to contact in the case of an emergency. So for grade 11, your face-to-face instruction, you will be having full face-to-face instruction on shift X and shift Y as you would have already been informed. For grades 12 and 13, they will be having a blended face-to-face instruction. Now from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., sixth form students will be engaged in face-to-face instruction. That's 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. They will be engaged in face-to-face instruction. And then from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., they will be engaged in asynchronous activities, which basically is the completion of activities such as classwork, homework, or whatever assignments teacher would have given you based on the instruction that you would have been provided with in the day. So for sixth formers, your time is from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., but your teaching sessions with your teacher will happen between 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Your other sessions are for you to complete all activities relating to the subjects that you're doing. Online classes will continue for all other students, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and grade 10. Your instructional time will be 11:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. and this will be online using the Google Classroom platform. Again, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and 10, you will not come to the academy for your instruction. You will be instructed online between 11:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. Registration is important. And why is this important? It is important because we have to report it to the ministry. Every single student who is engaging in one form or the other in our learning space. And so as of March 1, registration for grade 11 will be marked by the homeroom teacher when they come physically on the campus. There will be a registration for shift X at the start of shift X, and there'll be a registration for shift Y at the start of shift Y. The grades 12 and 13 students will sign an attendance logbook. And this is primarily because of the fact that the persons who would have been responsible to take a register for sixth form would have been engaged in some classes, whether it is with a grade 11 student or otherwise. And so for grade 12 and 13, you sign in and you sign out. Now, for grades 7, 8, 9, and 10, your registration will be taken in the Google Classroom. There is a homeroom that is set up for all students. If you're not yet part of the Google Classroom homeroom, please engage your homeroom teacher and get into that classroom so you can mark your name. It is important because we have to report to the Ministry of Education this information daily. Not just your attendance in homeroom, but your attendance in your subject classes are also important. Whether it is that you're going to be face-to-face, whether it is that you're going to be blended, whether it is that you're going to be online, your attendance in all sessions must be collected. Examination is critical because we must assess where it is that our students are. And so for the end of term examination for this period, it will be online. Grades 7, 8, 9, and 10 will have their end of term examination online. between the period of March 22 to 26. So in another few weeks, they will be writing their end of term examination. And this will be done online using the Google form. For grades 12, 13, and also grade 11, they will be doing a mock examination to give them a feel, also to put them back into the frame of mind and the preparation to sit their external examination. The paper 1, 60 multiple choice questions for fifth form, 45 for grades 12 and 13. This will be conducted online as well between the period March 22 to 26. The mock examination for paper 2 will be face-to-face, and this will only be for grades 11, 12, and 13, the period April 12 to 18. Now I want to remind the fifth, sixth, and sixth form students that the SBA is a critical component of your success in your examination. And that cannot be overemphasized, because if you do not complete your SBA, then you would have automatically failed your examination. And I'm saying this too, so that first, second, third, and fourth form can understand that it is not just about practicing to do some assignments and not to do some. And you may develop that practice. And so when it becomes time for you to do your SBA, you are so ingrained in not doing your work that it goes against you. And so I'm saying, whether you are a first former, a second former, a third former, a fourth former, a fifth former, a sixth former, whatever activities that are given to you, they are to test where you are so that we can put measures in place to assist you and to help to develop you as you go towards your goals. SBAs become due for fifth and sixth formers at the end of March. It is important that as you come to school, March 1, that you hit the ground running, trying to complete your SBA. There are some persons who have finished. Please use the time to make up or to get a better score than the one that you already have. CXC would have already indicated that their examinations begin June 1. Whilst the examination period begins June 1, you may not necessarily begin writing your examination at June 1, but you can also Google the timetable to see, so that you can also put in some measures to help to prepare yourselves. Now, in order for us to make this work, whether it's online, whether it's blended, whether it's face-to-face, there are some responsibilities. And so students, we encourage you to utilize all the learning opportunities provided to you. You understand very well the uncertainty that surrounds what will happen, what can happen, or what might happen. We were just about preparing to come back, and then we're told that we're unable to. We can't put off our education waiting to see what it is that is happening. It is important that every single time you get an opportunity to learn or to educate yourself for advancement, that you seize it. There may be challenges, but don't keep them to yourselves. Communicate with your teachers the challenges that you're experiencing, so that we know what it is that is happening. If we don't know, there is nothing that we can do. And please, don't let it always be the same excuse. Find a solution, find a creative way to get through some of the problems that it is that you're having. Keep safe and keep healthy. Eat a proper meal. Your brain needs food. And if your brain is not getting food, then you will not be learning at your optimum. And so please rest and eat. Eat as much fruits you can, drink as much water you can, keep yourself hydrated so that you can perform at your best. Practice social distancing even if you are online. It is primarily the responsibility of those who are coming face to face to ensure that they are practicing the hand hygiene, practicing wearing the mask, keeping their social distance. Remember, if one person is infected, all is infected because you really don't know who will or who won't. But if one person keeps themselves or decides that I am going to remain safe, then that's an opportunity for all of us to be safe. Have all the resources necessary to do your work. Don't come and say, I didn't remember that I don't have a pencil or I don't have a pen. You know the subjects that you're doing, 5th and 6th formers. Please ensure that you would have all the resources that you need to perform all your duties because we cannot share in this physical space. If you're online, please get the resources that you need so that you are able to complete your tasks and complete them well. I also ask those students too, sometimes who take pictures of their work, be a little bit more careful in how you take those pictures because you may do it very well, but the picture that you upload cannot be read, and so it may affect the grade that you get. Take a little pride, take a little care in the work that you present so that you can get the best return. It is the mask and sanitizer for me. Don't leave those out. Keep yourself safe. Keep me safe. Keep your fellow classmates safe. Keep your other teachers and staff members safe. Keep your family safe. Keep your community safe. Keep your parish safe. And keep Jamaica safe. If it is to be, it is up to me. And I'm 100% sure that all of us can do the best we can to be the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy, Ms. Foster, and Mrs. Virgo Simpson in that order. Mrs. Virgo Simpson and Mrs. Foster in that order then.
Good afternoon. Again, colleagues, students, parents. I am just going to be sharing a few things with you from the Division of Student Services. And most of the things you would have already been told, they will still be in place whether or not you return. So 5th formers, most of the things will still be in place. For example, we're asking you to register online. So our students must register online. We're asking you again to check your homeroom class on the Google platform. The registration form is already there. Your shift placement is already there. If for any reason you don't see your name, we're asking you to make contact with your homeroom teacher. Again, there's a private chat in the classroom that you can speak directly to your homeroom teacher. If you have WhatsApp for your homeroom teacher, make contact with the general office. If you do not see your names on the list, so you will know which shift you're on. I want to underscore that it's important that you show up for school on the shift that you are placed. So don't think because you are only 5th and 6th form coming, you can come whenever you feel like. You are still expected to come on the shift that you are placed. Just a few reminder, again, well, this is new, but for you students who are coming in, I just want you to take note of where your classes will be. We do not want you to be roaming the campus in areas where you're not assigned. So your homeroom placement is as such. So if you can, I'll keep the screen up, this slide up for just a moment for you to take note or take a picture or a screenshot, whatever it is that you're going to do of the screen. So you will know exactly where your classroom, your homeroom will be situated. So again, the Naki block, which Naki Blake block is what we know as the block E, which is right at the cafe. We will be using those 5 classes on that block. 5B will be the class that is right beside the music room. And in that order, well, we call it descending order, 5L, 5M, 5N, and 5T will be on that block. Then we go over to the Terry and Tyner Williams block, which is block D, and we're going to be using the 1st floor. So 5C, we're starting right at the upstairs where you would go up between the PE department there, the PE room, PE office, and block E, right at that staircase. We're starting right there. And 5C, that's where your homeroom will be. Then followed by 6A and 6B. That's where your homerooms will be. Now, your instructions might be in other areas. So you'll be notified when you come where those other areas will be. You'll also have access to the cafe, as you know, but just so that we don't go roaming for precaution. One other thing I'd like to highlight for you is that there is an isolation room and it is not accessible to you unless you must be there. So the isolation room is on Dr. Chambers' block, that's block B, and that is room B130, right at the wash stand or the wash area there, the cistern. There is that classroom right there. That is B130. You will not be allowed to go there unless there's a need for you to go there. So we're asking that you do not enter that area. There will be signs, so you will see, but just to let you know before you come, that is the isolation room. And we are adjoining the bathroom in the student services area to that room as well for students to access if the need arises. So just pay attention to this and all of the other protocols that you will observe. Mrs. Foster, I'm sure we'll go through the others. Mr. Hardy has gone through some, so I won't delay the meeting much longer to go through, but please pay attention to your homeroom placement, your homeroom list, and if you are not there, please let us know so that we can rectify the situation before Monday. Thank you so very much. Mrs. Foster?
Thank you too, Mrs. Simpson. Mrs. Simpson, you need to make me co-host and the other presenters as well.
Okay, sir. Will do.
So while you make Mrs. Foster co-host, I suppose she will need a little time to get her thing up. I'll just take the opportunity to fill the parents in on 2 other things that I deliberately delayed until we had more persons on, okay?
Oh,
so I ask you, Mrs. Simpson, we're here in your prayers. I ask you to alert me as soon as you have Mrs. Foster and remember all of the other presenters as co-host. When our guests join as well, I'm going to ask that you do us the honor as well. So once Mr. Hardy is hosting, I am hosting, and the others are hosting, we will be able to assist you in that regard. Now, two things quickly, parents and students. We require each student to take a thermos with hot water to school every day. So those students who will be resuming in fifth form and sixth form, you are adult enough, in fact, you're big enough to be able to manage that situation. So you have the weekend to go and shop for your favorite thermos. It is advised that that will help you to fight this virus because hot beverages and heat in general is not a friend of this virus. Also, lunch is not our duty. Lunch is your duty. So you must ensure that you take your snack with to school so that you can refresh yourself. That does not mean that we will not have some light things in the cafe that you can get. But I want for you to prepare for every eventuality because it may very well be that we are not able to serve any food given what is happening with the pandemic. But you would be able to consume what you take from your home. So you must ensure that you come to school fully prepared. Prepared in terms of your attire, grooming, your hair must be in immaculate condition, your uniform must be in immaculate condition, on the black shoe, black belt, and all the uniformity must be in place to the T. All your uniformity must be well sorted. But I just want to ensure that you know that you must take your lunch to school, nicely packed away. We will continue to maintain a single designated eating area now that we know that all of the students will not be resuming. So you are not going to be allowed to roam the campus to go and sit anywhere and have lunch. And you're already accustomed to that. But it is important that I point that out because previously it would not have been the case. All right, so like your uniform, like you can't come to school without your shoe, you must not come to school without your thermos with your warm water so that you can make your tea and that you can inhale the warm water. The research around the world is indicating that that is of significant help. So I ask that you make sure that those things are in place. Mr. Hardy, I know that you are our co-host, so I'm going to ask that you assist us in unmuting those persons who would need to speak. It is now time for Mrs. Foster to make her presentation. She had a little challenge in unmuting, so I ask you to assist us in that regard now. Ms. Foster, thank you very much.
Yes, sir, I'm on. Good evening, everyone, parents. I'm still having challenges, some technical difficulties. Every now and then I might be bumped out. I was bumped out several times since the meeting started. Good afternoon, parents, students, and the guardians. As a result of the global pandemic, COVID-19, school in Jamaica, as we know it, has been shifted, and we are all experiencing the effect of that. But safety and security remains what it was. It may now, well, in every way, it has increased in terms of our monitoring. Nonetheless, discipline must be maintained even in the virtual space, and it must be adhered to as the rules of our institution remains the same. We realize that most of our students have not been able to access the online school system provided, and therefore they are forced to, we were considering reopening. I know that you are aware by now, based on what our principal shared earlier, that we will only be reopening for our fifth, sixth forms. So with that said, we have to go to the drawing board to see how best we can prepare now for our students who will be coming on campus March 1. So preparations have already been made. A lot of preparations have been put in place for your child. And with all of these plans that we put in place, it will not be effective if parents, students, and stakeholders, all of us, if we don't work together as a team. Parents, we crave your indulgence in this area in relation to making it very important, an important aspect to your child, something that you speak about over and over. It cannot be too much, emphasizing the importance of them adhering to the rules. As our principal said earlier, in regards to suspension, we are very, very serious about asking students not to return if these protocols are being breached. We do not take this very lightly. What we realize is that when one student, who we may call the weak link, refuses to follow the protocols, what that student does is to put every single human being's life at risk on that campus. And not only us, but everyone else who has us with which to do. Our families back home, our grandparents, our children, those who have communities, are at risk because somebody on our campus, one of our students, does not understand the importance of following the protocols to the T. And in the same way that we hold our students responsible, we also emphasize this to every worker on campus, and that includes our teachers and every individual working on the campus, from at the gate, security guards, right up to the leader of our institution. We all hold each other responsible for our lives and for the lives of our children. With that said, let's look quickly at admissions protocols prior to entering the school and during the operations on campus. What are the expectations? We propose the following protocols for our students and every member of staff, academic, business, and ancillary, ground staff, as well as visitors. Your parents, we see you, parents and guardians, we see you as our visitors in a sense, your stakeholders as well coming onto the campus. There are protocols for you. We are glad you are here hearing us. And so we are expecting that as you hear us, you will not fight against the system, but you will work with us so that we can protect you and your child and the lives of those with which we have to do. As it relates to gate procedures, no unauthorized vehicle will be allowed on the compound. We are accustomed to some parents coming on and dropping off their children. We are asking you at this time, in this unprecedented time, that you understand the reasons or the rationale behind our decision as it regards to any and everybody coming onto the compound. So unauthorized vehicle will not be allowed on the compound. And so you will have to stop at the gate, at the main gate, and your child will alight the vehicle there and come onto the compound commuting through the small gate. Students in private vehicle will be asked to leave their child while at the gate. The security guard will be responsible for allowing only authorized persons through the gate in the mornings and the afternoon and the beginning of each shift. We will still be having shift system for the 5th and 6th formers from students. And so in this regard, we will have the security guard will follow the protocols on the 2 shifts. All buses carrying students only, we have already met with them and we have agreed on the operations, how we will go about handling ourselves at the gate in regards to sanitization of the buses. The buses will be sanitized, the bus drivers will be sanitized, the students coming off the bus every morning on first shift and second shift will also be sanitized. Their temperatures will be checked. Only 3 visitors will be allowed to come onto the compound, including parents. You will be sanitized at the gate and your temperature will be checked. In the same way that we require all students, bus drivers, every single person coming onto the compound must wear a mask. We are expecting parents coming onto the compound and visitors. You must wear your mask. Upon entry, you will be checked, your temperature will be checked. Anybody's temperature exceeding 37.4 degrees Celsius will be restricted at the gate, or you will be asked not to enter the compound. If it's a student, the student will be escorted by a member of the critical incident management team, and protocol will take its full course there. We ask that if you're a parent and you're on campus and you observe anything that would suggest to you that this child seemed to be, or anyone at all on the campus seemed to be showing symptoms of the COVID virus, we're asking that you discreetly, that you maturely, that you wisely disperse this information to a responsible source. And in so doing, you protect the name and the school from a whole turnover of chaos, with you not making this big outburst. So we ask that you keep it in confidence and you share it with the relevant authorities. Students on the first shift will arrive at 7:30. They will be required to enter. We will have 2 entrance and exit points now. It has already been erected. We have a new gate at the bus stop. And so depending on the level of number of students coming onto the compound, we may need to use that gate. We have it as a plan B. It initially, the intention was to have it as plan A for the entire school returning. However, if we see the need for it to be used during this time for 5th and 6th form, we will be using it for entrance and exit. Students on the second shift, they will only enter through one gate, and that's the main gate, the one that you're accustomed to. They will be escorted or asked to walk up the driveway to the multipurpose court, where they will wash their hands, and that will also happen for the morning shift, or the first shift, sorry. And they will be asked to, they'll be supervised to wash their hands at the wash stations on the multipurpose court, and they will enter the compound or the building through the back of the cafe. Each individual must wash their hands at the wash stations provided. Student leaders and teachers are strategically placed. I said that already. Now, as it relates to classrooms and blocks, students must sanitize their hands. So someone asked the question, why are we having so many sanitization, so many washing of hands? You know, the children sanitize at the gate already. Why do they have to wash their hands? We want to ensure that we cross our T's, dot our I's. We want to ensure that every way possible, we ensure that all measures are taken and we cover as much ground as we can in relation to being sanitized. Students must be sanitized at the gate, wash hands at the wash station, sanitize before entering the classroom, and if leave the classroom to go to the bathroom, they are sanitized before entering the bathroom, sanitized after they leave, and sanitized again before. Now, these measures we are putting all these in place to ensure that your child is as safe as humanly possible. Every individual on campus, and please students, I want you to hear me clearly. If you are on, please hear me clearly. Parents, every individual must keep 6 feet apart, social distancing at all times. Student leaders will be placed on duty, and teachers and senior teachers, to ensure that we adhere to these rules and protocols. Each individual must take responsibility. What kind of responsibility? Personal responsibility, and are encouraged to encourage others to do the same. Deviant behaviors to these rules will be sternly addressed. If you are a parent coming onto the compound and you are at the general office and you refuse to wear your mask, we are going to gently, nicely, politely, professionally ask you to exit the compound. After we have asked you to put on the mask and we refuse to put on the mask, we are going to be forced to ask you to leave the compound, because our safety and the safety of our children are at risk. Now, as it relates to lunch period, we have agreed that our students will have their lunches in the cafe, since we will not have the cohort of students, the whole cohort of our students coming in. So we are agreeing, or we have agreed, that they will sit in the cafe 6 feet apart. They will consume their lunches there and head straight back to their classes. Students will be allowed a little break to step on the outside based on the teacher giving them allowance to take a breather. We take that into consideration too. Our guidance counselors are there to assist students with anxiety issues. And if you have any health issues, you need to make it known. You need to have your letter or medical report stating the challenges that you have in regards to the mask and how we should deal with that. Now, as it relates to dismissal, dismissal roster is already prepared, and so teachers will be assisting our students to exit the compound as swiftly, as promptly as possible. That is the first shift, X shift, and so we will have to give place for the second shift, which is shift Y, coming in, so that they will be able to enter the compound and use the compound, and they can begin their learning as soon as possible. So we are still going to maintain that all students on compound from the X shift will exit through the PE gate and will use the new gate beside the bus stop to filter off the compound. At the same time or simultaneously, we will have the students coming onto the compound for shift Y through the main gate, and they will do the necessary protocol as it relates to washing of hands. Now, as it relates to emergency procedure, extra care must be taken in addressing students and adults, as I said before, showing symptoms. And so we are expecting the same thing from our teachers and our students. We are saying to our students, if you see anything that seems to be bothersome in relation to symptoms, we are asking you to be wise about how you make a report. Students who are suspected of having a temperature will be detained, and they will be escorted to the isolation room where the nurse and the team will take over from there. Should a child make a report that a family member at home has contracted the virus, we are going to have to ask the student to stay home until further notice. All persons, and I want us to hear this carefully, I want us to give keen attention to what I'm about to say. If you missed everything that I said, I need you to pay attention. All persons who test positive or become symptomatic are placed in isolation. If you fail to comply with these control measures, you commit an offense under Section 52 of the Disaster Management Risk Management Act and shall be liable on summary conviction before a judge or a parish court to be fined to a fine not exceeding $1 million or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 months. The staff of this health department remains available to us. So if you need assistance for counseling thereafter, you can contact me and I will give you the email address and the contact for them in order for you to ask questions or get some more clarity. This quarantine order is issued by the Chief Medical Officer of the Ministry of Health and Wellness of Jamaica. No information shall be published which discloses the identity of a person who is tested positive for or who is suspected, even suspected, or other person who is a family member of that person, or be a person conducting any health examination, contact tracing, or health investigation is in respect of any person mentioned in the paragraph above without that person's express consent. What I mean is you are not, it is supposed to be a confidential issue. You are not allowed or you are not permitted or you're asked not to file a report to the whole world if you know that there is someone who has contracted this or has been suspected to be positive or tested and said to be positive. Now, by authorized officer or any designated testing location, you need to be at least within 30.48 meters or 100 feet of person who is testing the person or the person who is being tested. Finally, let me just remind us quickly that announcement will be made all over the compound. Signs are already erected as to how far we stand from each other. And we are encouraging parents and students, teachers alike, to follow the protocol. I'd like to close by just saying to us that we are really expecting of us, parents, to assist us to make this few weeks or months that we have left in this school year to be one that is effective, so that we are able to reach our children in regards to preparing them as best as we can for the examinations. And so we ask that you'll work with us. We want to work with you. And we know some of you are nervous about sending your child back to school. We are doing everything in our power to ensure that you and your child and every single person on campus, including our teachers and our workers on compound, that we are safe. I thank you for your time and looking forward to seeing you 5th and 6th formers working together to make this an excellent year end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Foster. And as usual, parents, you're able to continue to communicate with us in the chat, and we will respond to your concerns and questions. We take now Mrs. Suzette Brissett, our business manager. Mrs. Brissett? Ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, on behalf of the Business Service Department, let me say good afternoon again. And just to share with you quickly that the Business Service Department, basically, that's where you find most of the frontline workers at the academy. And so you and I know, we know exactly what that means. But despite all of that, we have the duty, the responsibility to ensure that you receive the best service, and with all that is happening, that you are safe and that we are also safe and secure. So here are some of the protocols as we look forward to serving you, our students and parents alike, as we resume come March 1. I trust you are seeing my screen. Yes, okay. So here are some of the members of staff of business service that you will interact with as we serve you on this resumption. Now, we ask that when you visit the compound, you'd have already heard all the protocols from the gate coming up. We're asking that in order to protect yourself and to protect us as frontline workers, that you ensure that you use the hand washing stations that are available. And while on your way to business service, that you avoid touching the areas. We also ask that you sanitize when you get to the front office. As you get there and you look to your right, you will see we have mounted an automatic hand sanitizer. So we're ensuring your safety as well as ours. As you are also well aware, our accommodation or capacity in terms of how many persons we can serve at a time has significantly reduced, and therefore we're only able to accommodate, as I said, 3 persons, but we'll take 2 serving, 1 at the window and 1 seated as you are viewing in our presentation. We also want to inform parents that you would have already purchased your package and there may be items that you did not receive. We just want to inform you that those items are available, and we do ask that you take your receipt with you in order to collect those items. Now, as we mentioned, our role in ensuring that you are safe when you visit the compound, and that we are also safe. When you enter the compound, you see a number of sanitization machines. They're not there just to look good, but they're there for your safety. So we ask that you use them But most importantly, we're asking that you take care of them. As you can imagine, they can be very costly and replacing them can be a burden. So here's what we ask. They're there to ensure your safety. We ask that please no vandalism. Children, I hope you're hearing, parents, please convey to them, because if they do not handle with care, then unfortunately, we will have to pass down the cost to replace these machines to our wonderful parents, and we do not want to do that. So we ask that you drill it home for us, please take care of them, all right? We also want to encourage those persons who, well, first of all, we want to thank those persons who have already made their voluntary contribution. In these times, it has put us a good way in ensuring that we can outfit our school with all of these sanitizing machines and the hand towels and so forth that we need in order to keep you safe. Those persons who have not yet done so, we have made the process a little bit easier for you. Usually we ask you to go to the bank to do so. If you are close by and if you happen to be going to the bank, by all means, we ask that there are vouchers there already. We ask that you collect your voucher and that you make the voluntary contribution. If, however, you don't feel so comfortable going to the bank, we want to let you know that we have a point of sale system available at the school, and you can also make use of that. There we have the account number at Sagicor, but rest assured, the vouchers are there and it has the number on it, the account number on it. Some of you who may be concerned about rental books, we want to encourage first formers. Most of them would have already gotten their books. If there are children who have not yet received, then books are available. Please call us and make the arrangement to get them for your child or children. Students in grades 2 to second form to fourth form, we're asking that you look for those books that you rented and ensure that they are returned to us. We will let you know the specific date that you will, based on the numbering, how many persons we can see on the compound. We'll let you know which day you are being asked to come and return your books. That process is very important to the other students getting their books for rental. So we ask you, look for it, please. If you come in our way, please drop them off, and otherwise we will inform you of the set date. So we have not seen you for a long while, and so we're very much looking forward to serving you like we normally do, and even greater in this period of social distancing. So welcome and thank you for your attention. Sir, back to you. Mr. Simpson?
Okay, thank you. I think you may have muted me in your desire to move fast. So I thank you once again for your clear presentation and invite persons to ask questions and to follow up with us in the chat. I hope also that our parents and students are in a better place to face us on the 1st of March, those persons who would be coming in from 5th to 6th form, and those students who would continue to engage our G Suite from 7 to 10. With us this evening is a very special human being, one who is a stalwart of the Jamaican education system, well known right across the English-speaking Caribbean for her exploit as a principal, a firebrand principal of one of the leading, if not the top, high school in the English-speaking Caribbean. She has had the opportunity of resuming school with her team up there in Kingston, and they have had some peculiar experiences that she is willing to share with us to ensure that we do not have to maybe fall prey to whatever situation may be out there. And her leadership and guidance will be of pivotal importance. Her presence is so special because only 1 minute before she joined us, she was meeting with the Caribbean Association of Principals. And she would not have allowed this opportunity to pass to share with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak of no other than the effervescent, the powerful champion of Campion, Miss Grace Bastian. Please make her welcome in the chat as she present to us some ideas that will be of use to us. Grace?
Oh, there, I can unmute myself. Thank you. You're very kind, Principal Simpson. Simpson. You saw him behave all the time. He's a character. But good afternoon, everyone. Principal, vice principals, your deans, all the members of the administration, all parents, guardians, students. It is really a privilege for me to join you this afternoon. I was very grateful when when your principal invited me. I sat listening to the impassioned pleas from the Dean of Discipline, and I thought, oh gosh, every school is the same, isn't it? It's the same words I heard from that I use with my children, and I can only say, parents, students, listen to her, pay close attention. You must do what she begged you. The hardest thing is that social distancing, and all of us have to do it. But I have enjoyed, good afternoon, everyone. I've enjoyed listening so far. Okay, your principal asked me to just share, and it's very brief, the Campion experience of having students return to campus and encountering and having to deal with COVID cases at school. And I just want to share what the experience was and some learnings, what I think would be useful for any administration, any parent body, any school community dealing with this matter. So let me just go right to my little PowerPoint. Is everybody able to see?
Yes.
Go, okay. All right, so the Campion experience of COVID-19 on campus. So just to say that our first case came to my attention on the 8th of February, that was on Monday. And the parents communicated to me that this youngster's father had tested positive. So the child really was exposed. We didn't yet have his results, I believe. But no, by that time she had his results. She was telling us that he was positive. But the last time he was on campus was about 4 days before. So following the Ministry of Education's protocols, which really all they tell you to do is call the Ministry of Health, right? And follow the Ministry of Health protocols. I contacted the Ministry of Health immediately. No, it was very difficult to contact the Ministry of Health. The numbers they gave us just rang and rang and rang and rang. And thank God we were able to find somebody fairly high up in the system who instructed us. And it was very curious to me. First thing the person said was, do not close school, Mrs. Baston. Identify those students with whom the infected young man had sat his exams, because we had brought children back. We brought back everybody over a period of 2 weeks for internal exams. And so on any given day, we had as many as 600 students here, depending on how many exams were going on. Of course, physically distanced and all that, but it was a massive undertaking, gave all of us high blood pressure because these are children who hadn't seen each other since last March. So it was very tricky to keep them apart, but we felt it was important to have the exams. So we were to identify the students with whom he had sat in the room and subject those students to closer surveillance, health surveillance. So when they came in the mornings, instead of just simply having their temperature taken and their hands sanitized at the gate, at the entrance, they needed to report to the nurse's office. She did a deeper screening. She ask them questions about, sore throat and runny nose, and she screened them more deeply. And then after their exam, they had to report to her again for a second screening before they went home. So that's what we were told to do with all the students with whom this little man had come in contact. And then the other instruction was that we were simply to remind all our parents that children with symptoms ought not to be sent to school, and that at home they were to be avoiding social gatherings with family and friends. Now, I share this with you because I thought it was interesting. I had listened to the experience of some schools before me, and this is in the early January and so on, who had just shut down and because of a case. And I was surprised that this wasn't the instruction we were given. So that same day then I had to communicate to the parents of the students affected by this. That is all the parents of children with whom this young man had come in contact the week before. I had to share the information with the wider parent body, obviously with the teachers, with the board chairman, right? So that is what happened in that first case. Then I share with you the questions the Ministry of Health official posed to me. The first thing was, were all the students in the room with this young man wearing masks? And the answer was a clear yes, yes. Was the room air conditioned? And that was an important question because, as you know, the virus is more transmission. The transmission rate is much higher if you're in an air conditioned space where the air is being circulated. But in our classrooms with the air, not natural ventilation, the transmission rate is not as high. So was the room air conditioned? No. And then very importantly, were the students spaced at least 3 feet apart? They didn't ask for 6 feet in the classroom. We weren't doing the 36 square feet per child, but he was 3 feet apart from anybody in the room. And it's on the basis of the answers to those questions, I believe, that we were given the instructions. You don't have to close school. Simply identify the children with whom he was in the room, who you're in contact with for the days he was there, have them screened more closely every day, and remind the parents what to do. Okay, then we had a second case now. This is on the 12th of February. Again, I believe that was a Friday. And again, that child hadn't been in school for about 5 or 6 days. But the fact that you see, by the time they get their test and get their results and you're hearing about it, the concern is, when did he start showing symptoms, so on. And the MOH official was very clear that the fact that the child hadn't started showing symptoms when he was last with us meant that the risk of him having passed it on to anybody was very low. But out of a caution, we were told to follow the same instructions, very similar, the same exact instructions. Identify the people who were in the room. And you see, it didn't make sense to talk about go and deep clean, because those rooms were cleaned every day. We cleaned, by the time we're hearing about this case, that room had been cleaned 6, 7, 8, 9 times, right? Weekend cleaning, daily cleaning, more. So, and then again, the relevant communications were sent out by email on the 13th. That's the next date. Because this happened Friday. You hear me mentioning these dates because it's extremely important that you share the information as soon as you can with your wider parent body, with the community, so that there's no, it's just to alleviate anxiety and tension, and they get a sense that we are in control of what's happening. The information is being shared. Okay, so what were the lessons learned for me? I already just said that. To ease the anxiety among teachers and parents, we have to make sure that our communication is clear and prompt. And well, this was really addressed to my principal colleagues. I should have changed this slide where I said, have somebody read over your emails to ensure clarity, accuracy, and tone, right? Appropriate tone. But the key thing is to have a reliable contact. I understand when I listened to your Dean of Discipline, I get the sense that your Ministry of Health officials are close to you, in touch with you, and that's a very good thing. But I know that I had a struggle with getting somebody to answer the numbers I was calling. And then it's very important that you have those student bubbles as much as possible, because when they're trying to track and to trace, it's much easier if you can say he was only sitting with this group at lunchtime. This is where he would have been. Of course, they're going to interview the student themselves to find out who he says he was in touch with. But it's much easier to handle if you have students in bubbles. Of course, have your sanitizing protocols ready for inspection. And then, you know what, parents, teachers, administrators, prepare for criticism in the media, social media. People will say all kinds of things. They're going to say, I mean, some of it is just blatantly untrue, you know, outbreak at Belmont Academy, when in fact, it's a child or two people that you're dealing with. Outbreak, you know, and just to remember that everybody thinks that they're an expert at running school and managing schools, and everybody knows better than the people in charge. And so, as my grandmother said, mouth make for chat. But you have to gear up for it and know that it's going to happen, and not allow alarmists or people who love to make everything into a catastrophe to cause you undue anxiety. This is something that we're living with, that we're managing as best as possible. And all the research says that transmission in schools is not something, they've not been able to say that schools are a place where this virus is being transmitted. In fact, in my two cases, these children got these things at home from their parents. Right? This is not, so that's why the official could say to me, remind parents to avoid social gatherings, even with family for celebrations, because that's when the masks come off and we're relaxed and we're passing the virus on. Okay. And that's it. Those were my learnings. My last slide is one that I shared with my principal colleagues. I share it with my staff. I tell everybody I'm tired of the word challenges. Everybody, this is a challenge, that is a challenge. I like a good old Jamaican word, trials and crosses, because that is what this pandemic has brought us, right? A whole set of trials and crosses. And this is the passage that I use to console myself, that the Lord did tell us that these things would happen to us. There are going to be trials and crosses, but he has overcome the world, and so we might have peace. Okay. Well, I hope this was useful. I don't know if any, I get the sense we're not entertaining questions, because that would make your meeting forever, but I'm happy to respond in any way, either through your chat or later through your principal, but I thank you for your attention.
I thank you so much, Grace. I mean, you're sharing with us, particularly for the fact that you had the experience, and not just one, but two, is of particular relevance to our meeting this evening. And, you know, having listened to you again, I feel more assured, and I'm sure my team members are feeling the same way, because they are communicating such in our WhatsApp group here. I'm not going to allow them to miss the opportunity to ask you a few questions if they are so inclined. So I'm going to pause here to encourage persons to ask questions in the chat. But mainly what they have been saying is, amen, well done, great, thanks, lovely, quiet, and one even say that you're pretty. So so if the question,
don't get to be my age, you like to that when you're kicking down the 61 door here.
Right, and one says that it does get better than this. So once a question comes, the questions come, I will relay them to you for your answers. All right. So with that said, once again, I thank you so much, my friend. We will be in touch, and feel free to stay for as long as you wish.
So I have to rush. The market is on me, and I have my 90-year-old mother to take home the market.
All right.
The invitation.
Yes. So just a few comments before you sign off, Grace. Thanks for sharing the presentation. It was very informative. I like the idea that you did not have to close down the school because of the two cases. What was the overall number of cases you had at school? I think you did say 2.
Right. We had one 3rd form boy, one 6th form boy. No, parents were very, very, very responsible. There were several parents who wrote to me, because we asked parents to sign a code of conduct to say, once your child has been exposed, you will share the information with the administration. So I had about 6 or 7 people, you know, whose children either had come in touch with a family relative who was positive, that the child was being tested, and they shared with me every step of the way, this is what's happening, the child is being quarantined. But those children were not at school, so there was not a problem. They hadn't count, because remember, several of our kids weren't at school at that time. So it was 2. You wouldn't know that. One person went on social media and said the school is having an outbreak and administration is being tight-lipped, and they hear that it's 9 cases and all over social media. Not a thing goes on. Yeah. So it's just 2 to answer the question. 2.
Absolutely. And I think someone mentioned that it was good that you didn't have to close down the school, but I think it is important that we underscore why we didn't have to close down.
That's right.
And also just to quickly equip ourselves with the mentality. You said it about 3 times. Parents were very responsible. You said that about 3 times.
Yes.
And so I think that is the key.
Extremely. If they've cooperated, shared what they need to share, been honest about what they need to do, and kept their children home. And that's how we've managed. And the moment they knew that this child was exposed or had been positive, they communicated with us because they know the potential for the panic. Everybody is on edge. Yes. So that was extremely important.
Yes. Once again, my friend, thank you so much. We will be in touch.
Anytime.
And continue to keep safe over there. All right?
Thank you. You too. Goodbye, everyone. Stay safe. God bless you all.
All right, so we are going to be easing on now into a different facet of our presentation to you. We shall not weary you long, but there are some important things that we must do. You have heard from a colleague principal. You will now hear from our pharmacists and doctors. It is very important that you hear from these people, because they are the ones who can really and truly give us the tips of how to stay alive. And the person who will walk us through that segment of it is none other than Yvette Wallace Gordon, our dear Mrs. Gordon. So Mrs. Gordon, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. At this time, we will be hearing from Dr. Cashel Williams. She works at the Southern Public Hospital, and she has a bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery. She has a passion also for volunteering, and today she has volunteered herself to share with us on hand and respiratory hygiene. So we're going to hear from her just about now.
Good day, I am Dr. Cashel Williams, and today I'll be speaking to you about hand hygiene, which includes both hand washing and hand sanitization, as well as mask wearing and proper respiratory etiquette. With the emergence of COVID-19 virus, these topics have come to the forefront of almost every conversation, and so today I'll just be giving a few tips and pearls. Thank you and stay tuned.
Reduce your risk of viral illnesses like the flu and coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing with a tissue and dispose of it. Avoid close contact with anyone with a cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or the nearest health center and share your travel history. The flu and coronavirus can kill. Let's protect each other. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Hand washing is an activity that we are all familiar with. There are certain instances in which hand washing is superior to hand sanitization. These include before, during, and after preparing a meal, before and after eating, before and after using the bathroom, before and after changing a diaper, after playing outside, raking up the yard, taking care of pets or animals, and after touching open cuts, sores, as well as after sneezing, coughing, blowing your nose. For hand sanitization involves using a sanitizer with greater than 70% alcohol, putting an amount in one palm about the size of a $5 coin, rubbing your hands together, rubbing the fingers in between each other to get into the spaces, repeating it from the back, alternating the hands, rubbing the outsides, including the thumbs, as well as down to the wrist. Continue repeating the steps until all the sanitizer you have placed on your hand has dried completely. This should take about 30 to 40 seconds. The steps for hand sanitization and hand washing are the same. Hand washing is superior in the previously mentioned scenarios as well as if there is physical dirt on your hands. In all other instances, hand sanitization with a sanitizer with greater than 70% alcohol can be used to sanitize the hands. Avoid as best as possible touching the face, especially the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. Sanitization and hand washing help to prevent the transmission of several viruses and bacteria. The viruses which cause pink eye, the common cold and flu, as well as gastroenteritis, or what we would know as running belly, are all transmitted through improper hand hygiene. As we come around to the flu season, it is important to remember proper respiratory etiquette. 1. If you have a cough or cold, runny nose, pink eye, or another respiratory illness, it is important that you stay home as much as possible and social distance even within your household. Hand washing and hand sanitization are to be done frequently. If it is that you are blowing your nose, you should blow it in a tissue that is clean and dispose of it, not a rag. Do not spit in public places. Additionally, if you are to go out in public, please remember to wear a mask. We will now be speaking about mask etiquette. This is my face mask. It is supposed to cover both my nose and my mouth. There is a metal at the top of my face mask that I can mold to my nose. Please notice my mask now covers my nose and my mouth. All persons at this time should wear a mask when going out in public, and it should be worn appropriately.
Okay, that was part one. We are now going to be viewing part two of Dr. Williams's presentation.
My mask now covers my nose and my mouth. All persons at this time should wear a mask when going out in public, and it should be worn appropriately. Children under the age of 2 are exempt from this criteria, as it is unsafe for children under the age of 2 to wear a mask. If they must go out in public, it is advised that they are given a face shield. One such as this is fine, or any other face shield. The face shield should come all the way down, covering their eyes, nose, and mouth. This will help to protect them from viruses and bacteria that can. Many persons wear cloth masks, which are perfectly acceptable. However, your mask should be washed daily, so as to prevent you from wearing a dirty mask, which can cause transmission of germs into your system and make you sick. Additionally, if you wear a disposable mask, such as this one, it should also be changed at least daily to prevent germs from living on your mask and making you sick. Your face shield should be cleaned after each use with sanitizer or rubbing alcohol. If you are feeling sick, you may visit your closest health center or a public hospital or a private physician. Upon arrival to any of these places, you should inform them that you are feeling ill with flu-like illnesses and whether or not you've had a fever. Respiratory isolation, meaning you only rest patients with flu-like illnesses, is now necessary to prevent and contain the spread of COVID-19. If you or a relative have been asked by the Public Health Department to remain isolated at home, you are meant to stay within your household for the period of isolation.
In summary, the fight against the COVID-19 infection or the coronavirus is dependent on us. We are required to remain socially distant, wear our mask in public at all times, to stay home when having flu-like symptoms such as a mild fever, sore throat, headache, or if we have difficulty breathing, to show up at a healthcare provider and inform them of our symptoms and how long they have been happening. As we fight this common enemy, let us all remember to stay safe and stay responsible. Thank you very much to the staff of the Belmont Academy for inviting me today to do this presentation, and thank you for listening.
Notice.
Right. I know you have listened keenly to Dr. Williams' presentation, and we have 3 giveaways from this presentation. So the question will be asked, just raise your hands, and we'll identify the first person to raise his or her hand to answer the question. The first question is, are you ready? I know you are. What are the 2 ways that we can cleanse our hands to maintain good hand hygiene? Look out for the raise of hands. Mrs. Simpson, please help me.
Anne-Marie Davis was the first person to raise hand, Mrs. Gordon.
Anne-Marie Davis. All right. Anne-Marie Davis, can you unmute her, sir? Let her respond.
Can she respond?
By washing your hands and sanitizing.
Can you give me your class, Anne-Marie, your class?
I'm a parent.
Oh, your child will get the prize, not you. So your child.
Conrad Williams and Cameron Williams.
Conrad Williams, what class? We can only give one. So what class is Conrad in?
Which class? 3C, John.
Cameron is in 3C.
All right, Conrad, we will contact you and you will get your prize. Second question, lower those hands for me, please. Lower the hands that are up. Please mute. Amory, please mute.
Okay.
You see some hands up? All right, thank you. Next question. Dr. Williams spoke about hand washing, and he mentioned the amount of soap that should be used in hand washing. And this was compared to what item? Christina Campbell was the first hand I see up. Christina Campbell. Can you unmute Christina so she can respond?
A $5 coin.
A $5 coin. Thank you very much, Christina. Which class are you in?
4M.
4M. All right, your prize will come. The last question from Dr. Williams' presentation. Now, he mentioned some activities that you must wash your hands after performing these activities. Can you name two for me, please? I see Summer. Bijan Somerville, is it? Yes, Bijan Somerville, is that the correct pronunciation? Go ahead, Sister Somerville or Miss Somerville, I'm not sure what gender you are.
Miss, after eating and after touching an animal or animal waste.
Very good, Bijan. Is that your correct pronunciation? Please give me your class, Bijan. I need your class. All right, we're going to be moving straight on into...
Miss.
Yes?
2C, Miss.
2C, very good. Congratulations to Bijan Somerville, Conrad Williams, and Christina Campbell, who have won their prizes. We will contact you for you to claim your prizes. Moving on, we are going to hear from another person who is in the health services. This person is a dietitian, and she will be talking to us on nutrition in the pandemic. She is none other than Mrs. Ashagay Thompson. She works also at the Belmont General Public Hospital, and she has been there for 14 years as an administrative dietitian. And she is a licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist in Jamaica. So we will be hearing from her right now.
Good evening, Belmont Academy. It's indeed my delight to join with you as you conduct your very first virtual health and career day expo. I wish you all the best, and I do hope that by the end of the day's proceedings, each child and parent would have identified the profession that suits them best. And if not, you would have learned a lot more about other professions. Now, it was the famous Chinese philosopher Confucius who I think said, if you love what you do, you would never work a day in your life. And I can attest to that fact, that I do love what I do as a dietitian. Now, how did I become a dietitian? Well, the profession is able to be started from matriculation through the program at either Northern Caribbean University or University of Technology. It's a 4-year program, and there is a didactic program attached to that allows you to do a 1-year internship, after which it is you become a registered dietitian or a registered nutritionist. Now, before you can go to the universities, you have to matriculate by having 5 CXCs, at least 5 CXCs. You have to have English, math, biology, chemistry, and food and nutrition is a plus. The program sees you being educated about clinical nutrition and community nutrition. And of such, when you would have graduated and become registered, you're able to work at the hospital as a clinical dietitian or a consultant dietitian, administrative dietitian, or an institutional dietitian. I am an administrative dietitian. You can work in the community as a community nutritionist, as well as you can work in media by doing your own talk show where you can have different persons coming in and doing different ways of preparing healthy and wholesome meals, and at the same time providing the science behind food and nutrition. You have the opportunity of working as an educator where you work to teach others about the profession, and also the nutrition realm of the profession is taught by the nutritionist to the medical doctors as well as the nurses. You can become a research nutritionist, wherein the different types of diseases, the impact of nutrition on those diseases would be researched and would then give information to the community so that we can help others to make healthier choices. So that's the first few minutes of my presentation. Now I'm going to be speaking to you about how it is that you can help to improve your health through nutrition, especially during the pandemic. So COVID-19 has presented some times in which we have to change our way of living. We are no longer doing things the way how we're used to. And of such, persons have become more health conscious. And persons are of the belief that if you take a certain food or if you take a certain pill, your immunity would be enhanced. But I must tell you that once it is that you eat a wide variety of foods, you are going to be having improved health. Because if you concentrate on eating a particular food, then you might become deficient in other nutrients. And it's a whole teamwork effect when all the nutrients combine in their correct amounts to improve your immunity. Another step that I'd like to encourage you to do, or another practice, is to make sure that you include your fruits and your vegetables. Our fruits and our vegetables have what we call phytochemicals. And these phytochemicals, they work in such a way that they help to improve our immunity, especially as it relates to the antioxidant properties. Antioxidant, what that does, it helps our bodies to get rid of or fight off the free radicals that are regularly around our bodies. Because every chemical process that our body goes through, we might lose cells. So when these cells die, or if it is that these cells are reformed, they run the risk of creating things that can actually cause our bodies to operate wrongly. So when it is that we have foods that are high in phytochemicals, their antioxidant properties will allow the free radicals to be reduced. So more antioxidants that we consume, the more free radicals that we will get rid of. And I said the antioxidants are found from the phytochemicals that we get from our fruits and our vegetables. Now it's very important that you keep hydrated. So I'm not speaking about keeping hydrated with the juices and the drinks and the sparkling water and all of that. I'm speaking about drinking pure water. So whether it be oxidized water or purified water, boiled or rainwater, make sure that you're keeping yourself hydrated. It helps replenish our cells. And another thing that I want to encourage you to do is to increase your intake of fiber. So fiber helps support good heart health and it helps with good digestion as well. So consuming adequate amounts of fiber, which we get from our fruits and our vegetables, as well as our whole grain products, helps reduce our risk of even having constipation, which I can tell you is very painful. You're encouraged to make sure that you limit your intake of alcohol. So I'm speaking to students, but of course you are around different persons and your parents might also be around different persons might consume a lot of alcohol. So I want you to encourage them to limit their alcohol consumption because it does degenerate our cells and cause our body to be at higher risk of developing non-communicable diseases such as diabetes and obesity especially. You're encouraged to exercise. So normally you would have said 120 minutes, but that's just for strength and endurance. You're encouraged to make sure that you exercise for at least 5 days per week if it is that you want to lose weight and better improve your health outcomes. You are also encouraged to limit your intake of fats, sugars, and salts, especially if it is that you have these non-communicable diseases. Because I'm sure you have heard that when you have the diabetes, the high blood pressure, and you are overweight, your risk of having negative outcomes of COVID-19 is further enhanced or depleted or further increased because your body's immunity is further digressed if it is that you consume, if it is that you don't make sure that those parameters are controlled. So the parameters I'm speaking about are your blood pressure levels, blood sugar levels, and your waist circumference. Because you know, if there's a lot of fat around your waist, there's going to be a lot of fat around your heart. So you just need to make sure that you move your body, limit your fats of the fats and sugars, eat a wide variety of fruits, eat and vegetables, eat a wide variety of foods, making sure that you have all the nutrients that you need. And another step, another important principle that I want to leave with you is to make sure that you sleep. Rest is important. So those 3 items, sleeping well, eating well, and making sure that you have regular exercise, actually work together to improve our health, improve our immunity. So do all of that and make sure that you follow the protocols as set out by the World Health Organization and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Keep your mask on, keep your distance, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, and eat well. And let's fight COVID together. Thank you for having me.
We want to thank Mrs. Thompson for sharing with us on health today. And I know you have listened. And it's again trivia time to win more prizes. So let us see who will get the prizes this time around. In her presentation, Mrs. Thompson spoke of a special chemical in fruits and vegetables that helps to improve our immunity. Can somebody, by raise of hands quickly, tell me what were the chemicals that she mentioned that improve our immunity? Anybody listen to that part? I see Mr. Leroy Perry, or Leron Perry. Change your mind. Anybody else want to try? Christina Campbell again. All right, Christina Campbell went after Mr. Perry lowered his hand. Christina, change your mind as well. All right, I see Javera Watson. Okay, all right, Christina, go ahead.
Fiber.
No, that's not the correct answer. Let me tell you, it's a chemicals that are found in fruits and vegetables that helps to improve our immunity. She mentioned those chemicals that are found in fruits and vegetables. All right, Javier, I give you the opportunity now. Javier Watson. Go ahead, Javier.
Miss,
Yes.
Miss, calcium carbide.
Well, that wasn't the correct, that's not the correct answer. She mentioned there are some chemicals. There's still another hand up. Think about it. Let's go to Chavoy Gooden. Chavoy Gooden. Is it phytonutrients? And it's not really phytonutrients, but I think I take that response. It's actually phytochemicals that are responsible for improving our immunity. So I take that, phytochemicals. They're also referred to as nutrients sometimes. Can I get the name of the child and the class, please?
Chavoy Gooden.
Class?
4L.
4L. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Chavoy. You are a winner. Can you lower your hands? Next question. Moving on quickly. Next question. Mrs. Thompson mentioned that there are three. Please mute your mic. Thank you. Mrs. Thompson mentioned that there are 3 activities that will help to improve our health and immunity. I see Tonya Cummings first. Let's go, Tonya. Tonya, what are the 3 activities? Go ahead.
Miss, sleeping well, eating well, and exercising.
Very good. Congratulations, Tonya. And which class are you in?
5B.
Congratulations. We'll contact you to give you your prize. All right. So we're going to move on to our next presentation. You can lower your hands. Thank you so much for participating. We're going to move on to our next presentation. And this presentation is from Mrs. Joan Barrett. She is a psychologist, and she is going to tell us how to cope during this pandemic, and just give us some tips on how to cope during this pandemic. So at this time, I ask you to listen to Mrs. Joan Barrett, our psychologist.
Parents and teachers and students, boy, this lockdown has caused so much stress on us. But guess what? We must wake up in the morning to a routine. Wake up, have your bath, make a list of things that you want to do for the day. Open the windows, man, get some fresh air, get some exercise in the morning, go outdoor, let the children go out there and have some good time and play. And guess what? For those people who have not been communicating for years or for some months before the lockdown, get on the phone, video call, WhatsApp, text, and go on Skype. Have fun, man. And then you'll feel much better. You're not gonna feel so stressed. For family time, parents, have some quality time now. Most time you didn't have this quality time with your children. It's so good to find this quality time to know more about them, know more what they like, you know. Go play a game with them. Get the Scrabble, get the different game, chess, or so many different games to sit down and play with them. Build up their vocabulary, you know, sit down, talk to them about problems that they may be facing. Have some quality time with them. And the little toddlers, find some time to have some painting, get them understand different colors and all. This is a good time to bond with your family. So please, parents, do this. Find time for them. And guess what? It's time to celebrate them. You don't have to do a lot of things. Once they do something positive and do something successful, you just learn to celebrate with them. Buy them ice cream. Have some little party. You don't have a lot of money. Have a little party. Have a little indoor party. Get their little hats and do their little part with your ice cream. You don't have to have a cake. And help them to teach them to bake. It's a nice time to show them how to bake their little cake and biscuit and all of it. It's a good time to keep the family bond going. Keep going with your family, teachers and parents and students. It's a lovely time to love your mother. Love them up. It's a lovely time to paint things, to send to your teacher. Yes, this is the time. This is the quality time they're going to use to tell your teacher how much you appreciate her, how much you appreciate your mother. Yes, it's a good time to bond. So guess what? Bond with your teacher, bond with your parents. It's a good time to do it.
That was short and spicy. So now, we want to thank Mrs. Barrett for taking the time out to share with us. Now, trivia time. She mentioned how we can cope in this pandemic to take our mind off the stresses of what the pandemic has contributed to our lives. So I want someone to give me 3 activities that she mentioned how we can cope with these stresses. Can somebody help me to identify the first person whose hand went up? They went up so fast. Somebody help me identify. I'm seeing.
The first hand, Miss, would have been at the top. So it's
Javier. Okay, Javier. Watson would have been the first one. Thank you so much, Mr. Hardy. Javier, 3 ways that Mrs. Barrett mentioned that parents can bond with their children or family at this time. Go ahead, Javier.
Miss, it can be by texting, exercise and communicating, like keeping little parties.
Okay, very good. Congratulations, Javier. Congratulations. You are a winner this time. We will contact you. Which class are you in, Javier? Javier, can you tell me your class, please?
Miss, I am in 2B.
Congratulations again. All right, so we are going to be moving on. This time we'll be sharing with you a YouTube video of careers that you can pursue in the medical field, because we are in this pandemic and it is relating to health. So we're going to be focusing more on the careers in the medical field at this time. So I'm going to be sharing that with you right now.
The 10 best healthcare careers in the world. If you are looking to pursue a career in healthcare related fields and want to know the available options you have, this video is for you. Sometimes you may have an idea what field you have interest in, but are not sure which direction to take in that field. You want to consider job satisfaction, earnings potential, and development prospects, not to mention whether or not you are qualified for the job. If you have a caring nature and an aptitude towards STEM subjects, you may want to consider a career in the medical field. There are numerous roles available, and not all of them require you to spend 8+ years acquiring academic qualification. Interestingly, many of the occupations on offer in the healthcare sector are highly rewarding, pay well, and provide plenty of room for professional growth. So if you want to know what kind of role could be right for you, here are the 10 best careers in healthcare. While you are here, consider subscribing to After School Africa for more insightful videos like this. Number 1. Doctor. Doctors are highly qualified medical professionals who specialize in a particular field of medicine, such as surgery, emergency medicine, or general practice. They are the highest clinical authority within a healthcare environment and are responsible for diagnosing and managing the treatment of sick or injured patients. In order to practice medicine, you would need to get accepted into and successfully complete medical school, which usually takes between 4 and 8 years, depending on your chosen specialization. You would then also need to complete additional training. Doctors and surgeons, in particular, are the highest paid professionals in the healthcare sector, especially in Luxembourg, Switzerland, and the USA. Number 2, nurse. If doctors are the clinical leads, then nurses are the backbone of the entire global healthcare system, providing vital care and treatment to patients. Like doctors, they also tend to specialize in a particular area, such as intensive care, emergency medicine, or pediatrics. Although in some countries, nursing qualifications are still vocational, the occupation has become increasingly professionalized in recent years. In the UK, for example, nurses must now possess an accredited nursing undergraduate degree in order to become registered, while you will need at least an associate's degree on your resume. In the US, nurses also need to possess a highly developed skill set. They need to be caring, compassionate, and able to multitask effectively. Nurse salaries across the globe, especially in Luxembourg, Iceland, and the USA, are generally favorable. Number 3, pharmacists. If you'd prefer to mix chemicals and compounds rather than mix with patients, then becoming a pharmacist could be a viable option. In the commercial and healthcare sector, they are responsible for reviewing, dispensing, and advising on the prescription and distribution of drugs, although they can also work on developing new drugs within the industrial sector. In order to practice as a licensed pharmacist, you would need a Doctor of Pharmacy, PharmD degree, or an equivalent, such as MPharm. Typically, this requires between 5 and 6 years of study, depending on your location. Number 4, physiotherapist. If you're interested in how the musculoskeletal system works, and in particular, how human behavior and activity affects its performance, then a career in physiotherapy could be a wise choice. Physiotherapists, or physical therapists, as they are better known in the US, work primarily in the rehabilitation stage of a patient's care and treatment, helping to overcome injury or cope with a debilitating condition. Number 5, paramedic. While most of the occupations on this list involve working within a hospital or a medical facility, paramedics are expected to do their thing in all kinds of diverse surroundings and in all weathers too. They respond to emergency call-outs in ambulances and other vehicles, often performing life-saving interventions on roadsides and in the living rooms. Like nursing, paramedics have become increasingly professionalized in recent years. Paramedics also need to be robust, capable of quick thinking, and able to make snap decisions in high-pressure situations. Number 6, dentist. If you'd prefer a more serene day-to-day environment, then you could consider becoming a dentist. They are responsible for treating and advising on the care of teeth. Dentists must complete an accredited dentistry program, which can last between 5 and 8 years, depending on location and provider. You also need to demonstrate an array of suitable skills too, including communication, attention to details, and of course, manual dexterity. Number 7, dietitian, also sometimes referred to as nutritionists, although there are subtle differences. Dietitians are health professionals who are experts in dietary management. They work closely with patients who are suffering from cardio-related health issues and who require significant dietary changes. They also work with diabetics patients with other diet-related conditions, as well as people who simply want to lose or gain weight. To become a dietitian, you'll need to complete an approved undergraduate or bachelor's degree. Number 8, radiographer. Not to be confused with radiologists. Radiographers, or radiologic technologists, as they are known in the US, are the people who are responsible for taking and assessing X-rays as well as other types of scans. In the UK, radiographers require a HCPC approved undergraduate degree, while in the US, they must possess at least an associate's degree. Number 9, biomedical scientist. Much of modern diagnostics is built upon what can be learned within the laboratory, and so a career in biomedical science can be highly rewarding, although there are roles within hospitals analyzing samples and cultures. Many scientists work within academia or for large pharmaceutical companies. Generally, they possess a bachelor's degree in biology or a related field, with many holding further postgraduate qualifications related to their specific role. Number 10. Therapist. Therapist is something of a catch-all term for a wide variety of therapy forms. Although in popular culture, therapists often refers to as psychiatrists, a specially trained doctor. This is not the case, and most therapists do not need to go to medical school. For instance, some examples of different types of therapists include massage therapist, hypnotherapist, play therapist, drama therapist, laser therapist, and expressive writing therapist. Some of these therapies are used to treat physical conditions, while others are designed for patients who are experiencing mental health symptoms such as depression or anger issues. The qualifications required for these roles vary, although they are drawn from various backgrounds, and therapists can work in a variety of clinical and non-clinical environments, such as schools, prisons, or private clinics. As you can see, there is something for everyone in the healthcare sector, and these roles are just scratching the surface. There are numerous administrative and logistical positions, such as in medical coding or couriering, for instance. While there's a whole host of scientific careers that are closely linked to healthcare. In the meantime, what healthcare career appeals to you? Let us know in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful, thumb up and share with someone that needs it.
All right. I know you have watched. We still have 2 more prizes to give away in this segment. So are you ready for the question? I know you are. I know you are. So here goes. Now, a while ago, you heard of careers in the field of medicine. And we chose this today because we are in the pandemic and persons are more interested about health than anything else. So in the presentation, he mentioned all of these careers, or some of these careers, because this is that, as he mentioned, is just scratch the surface. So you're going to identify for me now, other than doctor, nurses, pharmacists, dentists, and dietitian, I want you to tell me 3 other careers in the field of medicine that you can pursue. And I see Sharika Brown at the top. So I guess your hand went up first. Sharika, go ahead. 3 other careers that you can pursue in medicine other than doctors, nurses, pharmacists, dentists, and dietitian. Don't want those. Those are the common ones. Go ahead, Sharika.
Miss, you have paramedic, radiographer, and biomedical scientist.
Very good. Congratulations, Sharika Brown. Can you identify your class, please?
I'm in 5M, Miss.
Sharika Brown, 5M. Congratulations, Sharika. All right. So we have one final question in this segment. And I want someone, please lower your hands. Those of you who have them up, lower your hands. Thank you so much for participating. Lower your hands. Okay, thank you so much. The final question in this segment. In the presentation, it was mentioned that therapists can work in several different places. Can you name 3 of those such places that have been mentioned? VE Stone.
Deron's hand went up first.
I'm taking the one at the top based on my screen, and VE Stone was the first one up that is on the screen. VE Stone, identify yourself and give your answer. 3 places in which therapists can work. VE Stone, going once, VE Stone, based on the information I received on the platform, the persons whose hand went up first is on the top of the participants list, and VE Stone's hand is on the top of the participants list. So that is why that is what I'm using to decide. All right, VE Stone, if you don't want to share the next person, there is Parkin. Tiwana, that's the pronunciation, Tiwana Parkin. Go ahead, unmute and speak. Unmute them for me, Mrs. Simpson.
I've asked both persons to unmute this, and I'm not sure what is happening.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move to the next person, Keza Brown. Keza Brown, I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yes.
Go ahead. Your response to the question. What are the places, 3 places that therapists can work?
School, prison, and private clinic.
Very good. Can you tell me your class, Keza Brown? Hope I pronounced it. Congratulations, Keza. Congratulations to all our winners. We have come to the end of this segment. Congratulations to Bijan Somerville of 2C, Cameron Williams of 3C, Christina Campbell of 4M, Chavoy Gooden of 4L, Tonian Cummings of 5B, Javier Watson of 2B, Sharika Brown of 5M, and Keza Brown of 1C. Congratulations to you all, and thank you so much for participating in, staying and participating in this part of the meeting this afternoon. At this time, we're going to see presentations from our students, and I want you to stay tuned for them, both 2 of them. So I'm going to share with you now presentation from Darlan Reed. He is a 5th form student of 5T, and he is pursuing humanities. He is a performer, and he is very good at what he's doing, enthused about what he is doing as a performer. So at this time, I want you to just give him your attention.
I used to be so broken, lost, empty. A heart with no beat, a singer with no song to sing. So I know the feeling, the silence is deafening. But in your pain lies a blessing, a sweet and sour victory. So keep walking, 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 though it seems so far. No matter who you are, listen to me. I know you're scared, your heart's bleeding. But what are you gonna do now? I think it's time you break free and keep walking, 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 though it seems so far. No, it doesn't really matter who you are. See, there's one thing that I know. Life, it can leave you so bitter, 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 bitter. But you must believe that it gets better, 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 better. It's alright, dry your eyes, send a prayer to the sky. I know it's hard to find, but you must believe that it gets better, better. Oh yeah, almost out of here. See, I was almost done. I wanted to die from how I was done wrong. I cried out every night looking for a helping hand. That's when it happened. Jesus took me and he held me close, gave me love, refilled my heart, helped me grow better because his love, it made me always available. Anytime, try him out, he'll change your life. See, I know that, yeah, life, it can leave you so bitter, 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 bitter. But you must believe that it gets better, better, better. Yeah, life, it can leave you so bitter, 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 bitter. But you must believe that it gets better, better. Oh, it gets better, better, so much better, better. It gets better if you only believe. So much better, yeah.
Just to remind you that although we are in this pandemic, that was to remind you that you must believe that life will get better. Thanks so much to Darlene Reed for sharing that with us. And although you have heard this so many times, there's this one other presentation that I want to share with you, just to remind you before we close off. And there is a YouTube video on the Belmont Academy YouTube page. Please go there, watch it, like, share, comment, subscribe so that you'll and click the notification bell so that you will receive notification of any other video that Belmont has uploaded to their YouTube page instantly. So I want you to go there and watch that presentation, especially for those persons who are returning on March 1. So at this time, I'm going to share with you another presentation from another student. It is very short and spicy, and it's just a reminder of what is it that you are to do in this time. And she is Shanna J. Bailey, as I mentioned before, from 5T as well. She's a student of 5T.
Behave yourself. Yes, it makes sense. Nobody now will look on you and tell you how bad you smell.
Wear your mask. In order you know how member corona still a keep, so try your best put it on. Brush your teeth, make your mouth smell sweet. Toothbrush, toothpaste, yes of them they admit. If it is yes, me stay far 6 feet, cause corona's in the street and me no know if you have it. Wash your hair at least twice a week. Doing this help to remove dirt from the hair meat. Take your vitamin, go pan a balanced diet. Eat your fruits and vegetables, keep you strong in the pandemic. Wash your hands with soap and water. Sanitizing is a must in these times, master. And proper hygiene is one of the main precautions. So do your part and help the whole we prevent corona. Cause me know you want to make it out of this a disaster.
All right, everybody want to make it out of this disaster. So you're reminded of the things that you should do to make it out of this disaster. We cannot emphasize it enough. Wear your mask, sanitize, maintain social distance. All right, I just want to thank the persons who have taken time out to share with us through their presentations, Dr. Williams, Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. Barrett. I want to congratulate all the persons who won prizes today. Thank you for participating. Thanks also to Shana J. and Darlan for sharing with us this evening in this segment. And we've come to the end of this segment, and parents, please prepare, especially for second form parents, prepare yourself because you will be helping your students or children to choose their career in a few weeks from today. So thank you so much again for being here. Thank you for participating. And at this time, I'm going to turn over back to our principal, Mr. Rayon Simpson. Mr. Simpson.
Thank you so very much, Mrs. Wallace Gordon, for so ably leading us into this section of the program. I want to thank the entire team. It has been a team effort. I think it has been a very good and informative meeting. I hope that our parents and students will apply the information onto their daily lives. I want to thank Mr. Hardy, our deputy principal, hardworking team member, Mrs. Virgo Simpson, for bringing that very clear aspect of the student services expectation, Mrs. Foster. The guidance counselors have been great in this first virtual health and career presentation. I want to thank you, Mrs. Wallace Gordon, for being so able in your approach to leadership and to guiding us through these ceremonies. I want to thank the entire team of teachers and non-teaching staff. I'm very pleased with the fact that we were able to host our parents this evening and to provide for them the information that they need. And from all indication, they have received it well. I want to ask the parents to please continue to exercise every precaution to keep yourselves and your children safe. I want to impress upon our 5th and 6th formers who will be coming in that you cannot take for granted what will be happening. Keep yourselves safe as much as is possible. Walk with your hand sanitizer, your mask, walk with your food to school, and ensure that you come here only for learning. Only for learning. Thanks to the transportation providers as well who have made themselves available, and colleagues, parents, students, friends, and well-wishers. Please have yourselves a wonderful evening. God bless you. See you on Monday, whether virtually or in person.
Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson?
Yes, madam.
Could you permit me to give a shout out to my daughter on her birthday?
Well, you can do it without the permission.
Happy birthday, Rihanna. Hope you had a good one at class today.
Happy birthday, Rihanna from Belmont Academy.
Thank you, sir.
That is so unfair. You know how many persons had birthday today? But if this one
And to
time,
all the students and parents who had birthday today, happy birthday. And this month, happy birthday.
but if it's one time I'm going to be unfair, it's today. Happy birthday, Rihanna. I love you.
Happy birthday, Rihanna.
Okay, colleagues and friends, parents, well-wishers, everyone. Have a wonderful night and thank you so much for your attention. Please keep safe.